Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Lara May, a clinical pharmacist specializing in functional medicine, as well as a certified yoga teacher and Reiki master. I run a truly integrative health coaching practice encompassing functional medicine lab testing, yoga and meditation, and a sprinkling of Reiki energy medicine. Join me here on Light Body Radio to break through your health plateau and come into alignment with your natural vitality. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Light Body Radio. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, and today is a Wellness Illuminated. So that means that it's just me and you talking about any topics that I find might be helpful or relevant or anything that's come up recently with um, clients or friends asking me questions that I thought, well, this could make a great um, subject matter. So today I was thinking that it might be helpful for us to talk about organizing our mind. And you might be thinking, well, why would this be helpful? But in November, things start to get a little more hectic than normal. We're gearing up for the holidays. Maybe we're traveling more. Maybe there's some end of the year projects from your work that are starting to, weigh on you, or maybe start to make you feel a little crunched for time. So lots of things going on, whether it's school, church, sports, kids, like I said, other family obligations, other activities that you do, and then, holiday plans all on top of that. So, one of the things that I thought would be helpful is if we talked about how to organize our minds in a way to help us preempt the stress. So, this is going to be a sort of stress management episode, but from the perspective of managing our mind and managing our thoughts. But you can use this really to structure and organize almost or pretty much anything and everything else in your life. So, our minds are really interesting places. And we have a million thoughts every day, all day, else we're sleeping, running through our head. And so, what I want to ask you and what I want you to think about now are how many of your thoughts are intentional? And how much time per day do you spend choosing your thoughts? For some of you, it might be 0, and that's okay. And for others of you, it might be, I don't know, like 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, even 30. But the important thing is that we start to build an awareness that, yes, we have involuntary, automatic, autopilot thoughts, but we also have the ability, the skill, and the choice to choose thoughts and or to think certain things. So it's well known that the repetitive pre-programmed thoughts don't serve us, and really in order to help address them we need to organize them, because if we look at them, organize them, then we can decide, is this thought serving me? Do I really want it? And is it current or outdated? So those are 3 questions that I want you to write down, and I'll go over them again. But just think of the repetitive and pre-programmed thoughts as sort of like in your closet, all that stuff you have shoved in the back that you kind of know it's there, but it's also out of sight, out of mind, but it is taking up space in your closet. And so we're going to think about those thoughts in the exact same way, meaning that once we clean them out, then we'll create room for things that we want to intentionally put in that closet or put in our brain or our mind, right? So they might seem harmless because we don't really know what's in there, or we're not really paying attention. But these thoughts are continually creating unwanted emotions in the background because, as we know from working with a model, which is part of the structure that I use in my coaching sessions. When we have a circumstance and we have a thought about it, that creates a feeling, which creates our actions and then our results. So that's the reason also that we're starting from this point, because mind management is the magic bullet to getting to the results that you want, to creating those actions that you want in your life, and also creating and choosing the feelings that you want to feel in your life. So again, to pull these thoughts into our consciousness and start be able to make intentional decisions about them, we need to ask ourselves three things. Is this thought serving me? Do I really want it? And is it current or outdated? And so I've talked before about thought downloads, but I want you to, if you have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil or even a marker, that's fine too. If you have the moment to sort of get that out and get ready, I want you to like take a few minutes and pause here, gather those things, and I want you to do a thought download. And but before you do, I want you to pause and start thinking about the thoughts in your head as individual sentences. So sometimes when we do thought downloads, we might get stuck in the journaling habit of writing them down as a narrative or as a paragraph or even like as a story, maybe. But for this exercise and for going forward, anytime you're doing a thought download, I really want you to think about them as you're the witness to the thoughts, to the sentences, and just write them down as a list of sentences, not a narrative, not a paragraph, not, as a continuous line, one after the other. So I want you to put them as a list. And I also want you to be the observer, be the witness to what's happening in your head, in your brain, in your mind. And when you change, just a tiny little shift of perspective, but it's so powerful, then you can become the thought watcher, the thought evaluator. Like I always say, we're not here to judge ourselves, but we are here to observe. And because when we come to it from the perspective of observer, then we can decide, is this thought serving me? Do I really want it? And is it current or outdated? So pause, go gather your things, and take about 5 minutes to do your thought download. And this, it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to, most likely it's just going to be a bunch of random thoughts on a page, which is perfect because then once you have them out of your head and on the page, then you can really evaluate them for their utility, for their purpose, and or lack thereof. So we'll probably come back to these questions. But again, is the thought serving me? Do I really want it? Is it current or outdated? So now that you have all the thoughts out on paper and you are looking at each one and asking the three questions, and if it's not serving you and you don't really want it, then I want you to either like put an X next to it or draw a single line through it. I want you to still be able to read it, but just the simple act of I can release this, mark it through, mark it out, is super powerful. So that is we're bringing this process into a stepwise organizational pattern, right? Okay, so the first thing is we're being aware. So we're becoming aware. We are the watcher of our thoughts. We've asked the three questions. And as you go through the list, now you're making a decision. Do I want it? Does it serve me? Is it current or outdated? And you're just evaluating each one. And then you get to say goodbye. No, I don't need this thought. No, if as if it were something in your closet, okay, I can put it in the giveaway pile, or maybe it's so worn out that it just goes in the trash. This thought doesn't serve me. I don't need it. A bye bye thought. So now that you have this extra space, now you have the space to create what you want. So this is really the what we call like the art of the thought download and sort of the art of eavesdropping on your own thoughts. Again, it's subtle, but it's so powerful. So now that you've done that, now what we want to look at are circumstances and facts organization. So we have our thought download. I want you to pick one of those thoughts. And now I want you to think about what is the circumstance surrounding this thought? So, what has instigated me thinking this thought? So, anytime that we're overwhelmed with thoughts and emotions, we should be doing a thought download if we have the time and the space. And or we should start getting in the habit of creating the time and the space, especially when we're overwhelmed with thoughts and emotions. And because this is a way that we can organize it and simplify it, and it just takes a few seconds. So, when you have the circumstance determined about this thought, now I want you to think about what are the facts surrounding the circumstance. So, writing down facts is the best tool for organization. It simplifies and clarifies everything. Long, messy, and dramatic stories can become three sentences in a matter of seconds. Complicated and confusing thoughts become one simple fact, really quick and easy. So we will, again, make your list of facts. And what are the big facts as they apply to your past, present, and future? And so, again, this is a clean list. It's minimal. It should feel uncluttered. And when you are this is sort of also the one of those next step activities is the practice of pulling facts from a thought download, which I think is really, again, like powerful, simple, but really powerful. So anytime you're overwhelmed, again, this tool can take a huge mess and a lot of overwhelm in the head and just really get very clear and very clean about what's going on. Only the facts. Facts are things that everyone would agree on. So they're not debatable, and facts are devoid of adjectives or adverbs. They have no drama, no emotion. They are minimalism for the brain. They leave one dish on the table and one fork in the drawer. That's it. So, facts provide space and room for our brains to breathe. And here are some examples of some facts. We are human. You have two parents. You're married. You're alive. You're breathing. You speak words. You have a house. You have a child. You have a conversation. I heard someone say something. I have a pulse. My heart is beating. I have different vibrations in my body that manifest as emotions. Um, so those are just a quick list of facts in general. So you can see that none of the things I said are debatable. They're all factually true. And so this can sometimes be a little challenging, especially if you're wrapped up in the drama of something. But if you can distill it down to just the facts, then again, we're getting really to the meat of the issue. So with over 60,000 thoughts per day, we really have to get a closer look and in order to get organized. And we do that with the thought download. And then we take each thought and we apply the questions. Is it serving me? Do I really want it? Is it current or outdated? And then we flesh out the facts about the circumstance. And then when you make sure you have a sentence in mind, not just any problem so that you're dealing with that you're not recognizing as a thought. So, for example, let's say your husband yelled at you about the kids staying up late and you thought he was rude and dismissive. You're not asking the questions about your husband's behavior. You're asking the questions about the thought. Your thought is he is rude and dismissive. So, does that thought serve you? Do you really want that thought? And is this thought current or outdated? And once you ask these questions about your thinking, you can decide to eliminate the thought or keep it. Keep going until you have covered all the thoughts in your thought download. If you need to bring in new thoughts to practice and say goodbye to the thoughts you've been thinking and start creating and practicing the ones you want to think, great. Keep straightening up your brain of thoughts like you would a room if you wanted to keep it clean and organized. The rooms and our closets get dusty and messed up. And just like we're brain, we need to organize it regularly. So, just that simple exercise that I just took you through can help you organize the thoughts very quickly. So, what does it feel like with this organization now? There so there's a different ways to think about feelings, but in a very simplified way, you either have a positive emotion or a negative emotion. And when we understand that our life will always be 50-50, then we don't necessarily have to judge every single emotion. We can just simply notice it. Okay, this is a moment of positive emotion, or this is a moment of negative emotion. No big deal. That's normal part of life. Positives and negatives. That's life on earth. That's life as human beings. So you don't get freaked out or upset when, the dishes are dirty. That's just part of the deal because sometimes the dishes are dirty and sometimes the dishes are clean. And that cycle repeats itself, right? So when we aren't exacerbated by the dishes, unless we don't bother to clean them, right? And then those dishes fester, they get gross and start to smell, and they become a big problem when we ignore them or avoid them, just like feelings and emotions. So half the time we have positive, half the time we have negative. And if you look at this in a macro way, then we can also look at it in the micro way. And I want you to see that you can feel great overall about half of your life and experiences and not so great about the other half. And again, completely normal. This is what we call the human experience. So, but this will also help you become aware of what you're feeling. And you'll see that by paying close attention, you can organize and clean up these messes much faster. So, if you stay on top of the organization, you never have to get buried under the weight of dirty dishes anymore, right? And so, will that lead to a positive thought or a negative thought or a negative emotion, positive emotion or negative emotion? And so, I want you to think about go back to that original thought and the circumstance, and what feeling does it bring up? Is it a positive feeling or a negative feeling? And notice that which thought it is attached to, because it's important for us to realize that our thoughts create our feelings. And once we've identified it, we can follow the same process with other thoughts to manage and organize our emotions more intentionally and deliberately. So, let's move on to the actions. We covered the feelings, we've covered the circumstance, thoughts, and feelings. Now let's move on to actions. So, how do we organize the actions? Because this is where some of us, sort of lose the plot, so to speak. We fall into one big pile of busy. When your actions aren't organized, you're reactive to every single thing that there is to do. And so this is sort of like where I feel like sometimes this energy in November gets sort of stuck in these cycles of repetition, that we're running around and trying to get it all done without a plan and without any deliberate thought. So I want you to start thinking about actions in two ways: actions fueled by positive emotions and actions fueled by negative emotions. So, where are you at your baseline? Are you reactive? Are you running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to get it all done before Thanksgiving or before the big holiday or before your big trip or before everyone shows up to your house? Or are you being fueled by positive emotions, which are calm, collected, organized? So, which is it? Are you reacting or are you proactively planning your actions? because a lot of our reactions and inactions are coming from unconscious negative emotion, right? And this is exhausting. And it's a very uh, n- unintentional, unaware place to live life. And that's sort of also too where I when I talk about energy leakages, like you're leaking your energy all over. You're giving all of your energy and power away to all these things that are on autopilot instead of the deliberate intention of how you want to think, feel, and act. So really when we're operating from the unconscious negative emotion, when we're letting that drive our actions, then again, we're exhausted, we're frazzled, we're stressed out. A lot of times we're irritable, we feel out of control, and we just in general aren't happy. So and that's okay because remember, half of the time of our life will be happy or run by positive emotions and half of the time negative. But if we're paying attention and organizing our emotions, we can we can run our lives with more deliberate consciousness. And when you consciously decide to fuel your life well, you'll energize your body and your mind and your actions and then your results. And you will allow so much more to get done in such a shorter amount of time from a place of ease and intention, deliberate intention and control, and it'll just flow more without that level of stress. So, what do you think about what I've said so far? We went through a lot in a short amount of time, but I know you can do this, and I definitely would recommend um, going over this podcast a couple more times. Again, pausing and doing some journaling, writing out your thought download, writing down the facts of the circumstance, getting really familiar and organizing those emotions based, from those thoughts that you're thinking, and then also becoming aware of the actions. So if let's focus on the negative and uncomfortable so you can become more aware of it. So again, not from a place of judgment, just from a place of awareness. So think about, okay, I'm feeling stressed this month. Okay, what are the thoughts that I'm thinking that are coming from that stressed emotion? What are the facts about the circumstance that are causing this thought? How am I feeling? We already decided it was stress. And now, what are my actions? What do I do? What are the actions I choose from the place of stress? And then, what are the results that show up for me when I'm living in this place? Right. And it can be really powerful. So it's again like a way to organize the results. So are these results serving me? Are these the results that you really want? And are these results current or outdated? Are they from the past? And it's something you just keep bringing forward because you're living life unintentionally and undeliberately and unconsciously. So let's and then you can think about, okay, well, what are the results that I really want? And think about that and write those down and then work backwards. What are the actions you have to take in order to get those results? In order to take those actions, what must you be feeling or what do you think you'll be feeling when you're taking those actions? And when you're having those feelings, what are the thoughts that you're thinking that are helping create that feeling, that positive feeling that's creating the positive actions, that's creating the dream results in your life? So, and you can see the circumstance oftentimes doesn't change. But one of these models is an unintentional model, and the other one is the intentional model. And so I love doing intentional models because it helps my brain think about and understand and be open to what's possible. And it helps me shift out of the perspective of victimhood or being out of control or maybe being controlled by other people and other circumstances in my life, like the boss, the spouse, the different family members, whatever it is, my busy schedule, any of those things. And so when I work it backwards from the intentional way, then that's what helps me shift. So there's power in both, and I want you to use both, and I'll attach a PDF of, outline of a model so you can print that out and use it if you want, or you can just write down in your journal the CTFAR and a line on the left, and then you'll fill it in. So what is your circumstance? What is your thought about it? What feeling is that creating? What actions is that creating? And what are those results? And then have another one, which is the intentional model. What are the results that you want, and work it backwards? And what would you be doing to create those results that you want? And what would you be feeling? And what would you be thinking? And so, again, this is super simple, but very powerful. And it doesn't really take a lot of time, especially once you get in the habit of just giving yourself 5 minutes, quick thought download. And then again, like just a quick list, not a story, not a paragraph, a list. Be the observer, write down, pick one thought from there, flesh out those facts, and then fill in the rest of your model and see what comes up. See what you can learn about yourself, and then see what you choose to keep or what you choose to discard, what you choose to change. So I'm going to leave it there for you this week because, again, I know we're all busy in this month of November. It's really starts to become the crunch time of the end of the year. But again, it doesn't have to be because that's just a story we tell ourselves, right? And so we can tell ourselves a different story. We can tell ourselves and create a life of organized, calm flow where everything gets done, all the needs are met, and then we have time and space to enjoy life, to enjoy our friends and family all around us all the time, and but also like have healthy boundaries and have that alone time, that healthy alone time for ourselves, that self-care time. So this really helps to when you start organizing your brain and your thoughts, then this organization trickles out and sprinkles down to all the rest of the things in your life. And that's really what we're looking for, right? We're looking for something to sort of remedy the chaos and to help us not only feel that we're in control, but actually have some creative control. And newsflash, guys and gals, you are the most powerful creator in your life. You just have to be willing to step into that driver's seat and take responsibility and take control. So I invite you to do that and have fun with it. And if you have questions or challenges, you can reach out with questions. If you want me to help you walk through this process one-on-one in a coaching session, head on over to drlaramay.com/sessions and sign up, and we can work together one-on-one. Or if you prefer the group setting, go over to drlaramay.com/memberships and sign up for the monthly membership where I do give live coaching that you bring your question, bring your issue, and you get live one-on-one coaching, but just, with a little bit of a group audience. But I promise you, if somebody brings up a question in the group, then everybody benefits from it in some way, shape, or form. So I hope you have a fabulous November so far, and we will catch you in the next episode.